Glenfarclas 105. It was only a matter of time that we had to talk about this big monster here. This is Bottles That Changed the World. This is my little series on bottlings of considerable historical importance that are still around, still available, still pretty good, and that just have kind of fallen off of the conversation a little bit. And boy, oh boy, is that true of the 105 here. So for as long as I have been drinking Scotch, I'm going to pour a little bit of this in my little mini Glencairn given to me by Robin of This Blog's Neat. Thanks, Robin. As long as I've been drinking Scotch, so since 2007 or so, there have been cask strength sherry bombs out there. The distilleries making them kind of rotates and changes around. These days you have got good old Aberlour Abuna, which is like cough medicine from heaven that's on fire. You have got Glendronach cask strength, or batch strength, I forget what it is. But the really strong Glendronach, which is like having a shotgun shell full of raisins shot directly into your mouth. There is, what else is it? Tamdu batch strength, one of my personal favorites. It's like drinking a cup of coffee that's been spiked with a beef bouillon cube and some leather. Oh, God, it's good. But everyone loves these things. Everyone fanboys these things. These kind of young, heavily sherried, high-proof beasts. And always part of that conversation, but kind of on the margins, never really taken that seriously, at least not as seriously as the others, is Glenfarclas 105. Also a sherry bomb, but it just kind of gets forgotten about. And there are reasons for that. So for one thing, it's not all sherry cask. There is some bourbon cask going into this these days. It's even when I first started as a little bit of a Scotch nerd, this stuff drank hot. And over the years, it still drinks hot. It's still a spicy boy, even for 60%. And it's maybe flattened out just a hair. So there's, maybe it's not quite punching up with the others anymore. However, it does have a number of advantages. Number one, it is freaking delicious. The character of this is, imagine soaking a Snickers bar in prune juice for a while. That's kind of what this tastes like, and I absolutely love it. It's also cheaper, typically, than the competition, especially if you look around the online retailers. This liter bottle here, I bought this the last time I was in Lithuania for less than $40. It's a liter. Those days are long over, but still, you should be able to find a bottle of this for well under $60 if you look around. And that's a heck of a value in the genre of non-age stated, high-proof sherry bombs. But there's one more reason to kind of give this a shot, which is the history behind it. Now, if you do a quick Google, you will probably read that Glenfarclas 105 was first bottled in 1964. And so far as I can tell, that is not true. What happened in 1964 is that George Grant, who was running Glenfarclas at the time, Glenfarclas, incidentally, not a small, like a medium-sized, very, very old Speyside distillery, one of the oldest in the region, 1830s, I think, and still family-owned. They still use direct-fired stills. They're really cool in lots of ways. I do wish some of what they were putting out was a little bit better. I've been underwhelmed over the years, but still a really, really cool distillery. So George Grant, the patriarch of Glenfarclas and the Grant family in the 60s, bottled a cask around Christmas, for Christmas. He just, took a random young sherry cask, dumped it, and bottled it kind of as it was. Not for selling, just for passing around to family, to friends, to employees, happy Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Here's a bottle of sherried firewater, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say this was probably not uncommon. George Grant was probably not the first person to just bottle some whiskey straight out of the cask as is. It's we still do hand fills these days, right? It's not that hard to do. However, as these things were passed around and attained a little bit of a legendary status around in the community, George Grant was notable in the fact that he looked at this and he said, I can probably make some money here. So he decided, a few years later, this would have been 68 or something, the chronology is a little bit hazy, but around there, to just effectively make a high-proof young offering as part of the range. And so you got the predecessor of this, Glenfarclas 105. It was not presented in percentage of alcohol, just British proof. 105 is, in British proof, is in Europe makes no difference, 60% alcohol by volume. That's what it said, 105 proof, Glenfarclas, and I believe it was an 8-year-old back in those days. But the important thing was, this was a single malt whiskey, which is already a super duper rare thing, right? And because Glenfarclas was a small independent distillery, they could do crazy stuff like offer it at a strength that would light on fire. And it's kind of been in the range in some form or other ever since. They've dropped the age statement since then. They've sort of thrown in some bourbon casks, but it's still there. And it's just important to recognize this was the 1960s. We hadn't even gone through the vodka era yet, right? And this is so if you enjoy your occasional bottle of Aberlour Avonat, but also Lefroy cask strength, this is why those exist. They all trace the lineage back to this. It's not just that. Booker's in bourbon comes out of this. Wild Turkey, Rare Breed comes out of this. Hamden Overproof is really coming out of this. Even the Brut de Fou Armagnacs and Cognacs we can all enjoy these days. It all really started with this. This is ground zero for what we now think of as cask strength bottlings, although this isn't really, it's high proof. It isn't really necessarily cask strength. It's just always 60%. But cask strength, high proof bottlings, craft presentation, it all kind of starts with this bottle. And that's cool. And it's also just, it's still delicious. It's prunes and figs. And I'm getting more Twix bars than Snickers today, but it's, that's the character of this. Vanilla, desserty, a little bit nippy, but that's part of the charm. Oh. Peppery. There's a little bit of leathery, savory goodness. I mean, it's just a classic among classics. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you this is the best, high-proof sherry bomb in the market, but it's not expensive if you look around. It's yummy, and it's just a cool little piece of history that's still out there and well worth trying. So if you're ever in a decent whiskey bar, give this a pour. Or just, grab yourself a bottle. When you're in the mood for a quick hit of desserty sherry straight to the back of your palate. Thanks for watching. This has been Glenfarclas 105, a bottle that changed the world.